Fauci, the mad doctor, finally draws a direct attack from Elon Musk. Really, I didn't know Elon had it in him. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. Anthony S. Fauci, M.D., which normally stands for Doctor of Medicine, but in this case stands for Mad Doctor, might have achieved something he never intended. He seems to have given the red pill. Apologize to the brothers/sisters Wachowski of Matrix fame, to Elon Musk. Beginning early yesterday morning, Musk revealed more insight into Fauci's career, or, as Musk clearly sees it, his crimes. Before I unpack what Elon said, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which quotes Plato, saying, "No one is more hated than he who speaks the truth." And that's truer than perhaps you know. One more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can even click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, you see that new icon, the heart shape with the silver dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do, so long as it's legal tender. Now, some background. Anthony S. Fauci, M.D., has served as director of the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Disease since 1984. More to the point, he played a checkered role in the drama surrounding the virus that shall remain nameless. As I reminded all of you 2 days ago, governments all over the world taught their people an official story that defied logic, which was a hapless resident of Wuhan, China, bought a bat at a wet market, made soup out of it, ate it, sickened, and died, but not before spreading this brand new virus to a critical number of other city residents. The disease, so the story went, spread from there. No serious student of this affair believes that anymore. Dr. Fauci already has a reputation for having used U.S. government funds to run a gain-of-function research program. What became the virus that shall remain nameless was part of that. When then-President Barack H. Obama realized how politically damaging any lab leak could be, he ordered Fauci to toss the hot potato to someone else. Fauci chose the Chinese, and in particular the Wuhan Institute of Virology, who released it. Did their staff break isolation after the virus broke containment in one of their laboratories? Or did some minister without portfolio, or an unknown portfolio, make a cynical calculation that he hoped would advance the goal of making China the middle kingdom to rule the world? We will likely never know. Furthermore, during the last year of the Trump administration, Dr. Fauci tried to make sure no one would know his role in this affair. The wet market bat soup theory became the only theory of the origin of the virus that shall remain nameless that anyone was permitted even to mention. And that theory held long enough to crash the economy and somehow cost Trump the election. There are many, many ways that could have happened. Yesterday morning, a Twitter commentator named Mark Andreessen shared a pair of ironic photographs to give his opinion that Anthony S. Fauci had told a pack of lies. I have a link to his tweet in the description. One of the photographs is an image of text defending Fauci. Quote, "It is not accurate or fair to say that Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Disease, or NIAID, and a leading expert on infectious diseases, has ever lied Dr. Fauci is a highly respected scientist and physician who has spent his career seeking to improve public health and combat infectious diseases. Close quote. And wouldn't you want to throw up? Where that text came from, Mr. Andreessen doesn't say, but the second photograph clearly shows Andreessen's attitude. It is a screen cap of actor Frank Sinatra, old Blue Eyes himself, as Major Bennett Marco, United States Army, in The Manchurian Candidate. That's the 1962 version. The screen cap has a subtitle, or perhaps a closed caption, of this memorable line that he says in a monotone. Now, maybe many of you don't remember it. I do, and here it is. Quote, "Raymond Shaw is the kindest, bravest, most wonderful human being I have ever known in my life." Unquote, Frank Sinatra. And as anyone who has watched that movie knows, that is absolutely false. Shortly thereafter, Elon Musk replied with a small thread. I have links in the description to 3 of the tweets in that thread, which is every other tweet. This thread leads with an article that appeared in Newsweek a year ago, quoting new documents suggesting that Fauci was less than truthful in speaking to Congress. In fact, if you go to the thread, you'll see that the link leads you to the government website belonging to Congress. Next, Musk includes a link to the Wikipedia biography of one Christine Grady, the Director of Bioethics at the National Institutes of Health. The problem is, she is married to Dr. Fauci. Is that a conflict of interest or what? And as Elon points out, very few people know this. Well, I've just told you. Next, Elon says the quiet part out loud. Gain-of-function research means the weaponization of a wild type. And for your information, a wild type is any life form that you find in the wild, meaning not in a laboratory. Musk links to an article by Brittany Bernstein of National Review, dated May 28, 2021. It refers to Fauci's 2012 paper arguing that the benefits of gain-of-function research outweigh the risks. The problem is, he never once stated positively what benefit would result from fashioning a wild-type virus into a weapon. So, we must assume worst case. And worst case is, the benefits to a governing elite outweigh the risks to the rest of us. Last came the most important revelation relevant to Twitter. Musk says, quote, Twitter had an internal Slack channel unironically called Fauci Fan Club, unquote, Elon Musk, who, in closing, challenges the internal ombudsman's committee called @Community Notes to correct or amend his thread as/if appropriate. Now, I'm going to get to the reaction, but before I do, I want to shout out to the sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You're not alone. No. Fluctuating economy, unemployment issues, unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Now, whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, either way, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com. Learn how you can build a legacy for your future. Now, the reactions to Elon's revelations mostly vary from outrage to cynicism. I have links in the description to 8 tweets showing the best cross-section of reaction. First, we have 2 tweets recalling and sharing other articles pointing to federal funding of gain-of-function research. Then we have one that recalls that Fauci once touted an anti-malarial drug popular in India, that he said was effective against an earlier version of this virus, the one that came out in 2004, remember? Then the fourth tweet reminds everybody that Fauci promoted the drug called azidothymidine, or AZT, for the treatment of the acquired immune deficiency syndrome. That treatment proved more lethal than the disease itself. Never mind, Fauci held the patent. Yes, you heard that right. I said patent. He skims right off the top for every treatment issued. Next, we have a couple of tweets actually apologizing for Fauci and suggesting that opposition to him is politically expedient. But those are rare. Then one user reminded others sharply of Fauci's funding of experiments on dogs that made them suffer. Now, I almost didn't want to link to that, but I decided I would. But I would not describe the picture. It is the 7th link in the reaction series. It speaks to those dog experiments, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And last, we have a tweet reminding us that Fauci declaiming, quote, "I am the science," unquote, Dr. Fauci. Someone has created a photo retouch putting Fauci's face on the portrait of France's Sun King, Louis XIV. The caption is misspelled slightly. It's supposed to say "La science c'est moi," like "L'État c'est moi," or "I am the state," but somebody added an extra S on the end. Please don't run crying to l'Académie Française. Yes, I know it's spelled wrong, a mistake only an Anglophone could make. But you get the idea. Now, let's turn to just what makes a Dr. Fauci anyway. As I've mentioned a few times, I have a medical degree. And I trained in pathology and medical information science at 3 different institutions in a period of 7 years. Now, toward the end of those 7 years, an episode happened at yet another institution, one I wasn't there to witness and I will not name. But boy, did I hear about it. A young woman was in a traffic accident, as I recall, and came to the emergency room of a hospital, maybe in New York City, maybe in another city in New York State. Anyway, the surgeon who operated on her was a house officer or resident who literally had been on his feet for 24 hours. He slipped up and she died on the operating table. The problem, at least for that hospital's training program, was that her father was a New York State assemblyman. To vent his outrage, he drafted legislation to enact what became the first serious reform in medical and postgraduate training since the raising of house staff salaries when the Medicare program kicked in. From that day forward, for the first time, teaching hospital house staff were subject to workload limits that recall those that apply to truck drivers and commercial pilots, but not before then. Anthony S. Fauci trained in internal medicine, and he trained in the 60s. House officers on such services, during the time he trained, often went without sleep for almost a full day at a time. More to the point, they were subject to psychological abuse at the hands of their teachers, the attendings. In that way, academic medicine instilled in its students and trainees an arrogance that I don't expect a layperson to understand. And maybe that is still the case. In any event, the idealized vision of medical training that you saw in the Dr. Kildare franchise or the soap operas of the latter half of the 20th century is not accurate. The novels of Robin Cook, MD, like The Year of the Intern and especially Coma, present a far more accurate picture. It is ugly as sin, because that's what medical training is like. Anthony S. Fauci is a product of his environment, no more, no less. Now let me give you a quick disclaimer after mentioning a novel like Coma. I have never seen an illicit organ harvesting program like that which Dr. Cook depicted in Coma. Then again, I've never been to mainland China. They do that kind of thing by law. In any event, Dr. Fauci's research recalls the mindset of the villains in that novel and the 1978 motion picture adaptation. The essence of that mindset is the sacrifice of some lives is noble if it saves many more lives. or at least that's what a Dr. Fauci tells himself. In fact, he could never rise to the pinnacle that he reached without becoming an initiate into the elite. And they want to wipe out every living soul on the planet except themselves. Bill Gates, for example, spoke of thinning the ranks of humanity in a TED Talk, no less. I have a link in the description to a 3-minute video from that TED Talk. But if you want the best sense of how long this sort of thing has been going on, read Mary Shelley's original novel, Frankenstein. In that work, we have the quintessential warning that some lines of scientific inquiry are better not pursued. Recall the very etymology of the word monster, from moneo, a Latin verb meaning I warn. Mary Shelley warned us, but we did not heed that warning. For that matter, God himself warned us even earlier. Do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Adam and Eve ate, and we have been paying for that error ever since. But Dr. Fauci turns a blind eye because he declared himself an atheist. Let us not make that same mistake. Link in the description to the article, to Mark Andreessen's tweet with the 2 images of the text and old Blue Eyes giving his best brainwash impression, to Elon Musk's thread, to the 8 tweets in reaction to Bill Gates' TED Talk, to my Declarations of Truth Twitter account, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to oursilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link to my channel and links to 2 recent videos by me on matters concerning the virus and that TED Talk video that will tell you all about everything you need to know about how the elite think. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.